You may have heard of them and you may have seen their credits on games. But who are Mario Club? What do 1UP actually do? And what's the SP with SRD? And who even are NERD and Nintendo Technology Development? It's time to deep dive Nintendo's array of assist and technology studios. Let's start in Kyoto, where Mario Club have two offices and are a subsidiary focused exclusively on debugging. Sometimes they just call it the Kyoto Research Center, although Mario Club Inc. is the name given in thanks for the many and varied games for which they have supported, going back all the way to Super Mario Bros. 3. In September 2024, they reached 400 employees, up from around 360 in 2023 and just over 340 in 2021 and 300 back in 2011. Okay, I don't think it's going to astonish anyone that they're going to be doing a lot of bug testing around now, but it's still pretty cool to see that number ramping up. Although I suppose there's also a chance that a new system simply requires more bug checking, as more system patches are possibly going to be required. Obviously, this has a number of security measures required, and Satoru Iwata once commented on how this is managed. He said, Mario Club Company Limited, which is a Nintendo subsidiary, performs debug operations, an operation to check if the software runs as the developer intended, and difficulty adjustments for Nintendo products. The number of people involved in these operations has been increasing, and recently we have made a shielded room in which the walls shut out all electronic waves from outside the room. Presumably, the security has only been ramped up in the years since. Of course, Mario Club aren't the only testers in town, and we know that Nintendo of America and Nintendo of Europe have their own testing departments and groups, but nevertheless, the team working most closely with Nintendo on initial testing requirements does appear to be the aptly named Mario Club. SRD, on the other hand, is, in Nintendo's own words, a development company which has been closely involved for nearly 4 decades in developing Nintendo video game software. They were purchased in 2022, but they were originally founded in 1979 in Moriguchi City in the Osaka Prefecture, and since 1982, when they established their Kyoto office, they've worked on every Nintendo system since the Famicom. Their game credits are too numerous to mention, although the company president, Toshihiko Nakago, identifies as specific examples. We have participated in many title series such as Donkey Kong, The Legend of Zelda, Super Mario, Star Fox, and Animal Crossing. We will continue to work with Nintendo and devote ourselves to program development, design, and web development. The company president actually worked with Miyamoto from the very early days of Famicom game development on titles such as Super Mario Bros., Excitebike, and the original Legend of Zelda. He also has a talent for holding on to information and documentation that seems to have been sadly lost in Nintendo's head offices. Nevertheless, SRD seem to lend their talents to many different groups, such as helping with the camera on Ocarina of Time 3D. Given the sheer number of absolutely iconic games SRD have worked on for Nintendo, it is perhaps surprising that they were not, until 2022, owned by the Nintendo company directly, although this does give them an opportunity, especially with the forthcoming office move once their new development group is finished, to fully integrate the staff into the Nintendo team. Plus, Toshiko Nakago may well wish to retire at some point, and this sets the company's relationship with Nintendo on a more stable footing for the longer term, with Nintendo able to absorb one of their most reliable development partners. Okay then, last but not least out of these core teams, we have 1UP, the team that were once called Brownie Brown. The team started with developers mainly from Square, but was always a Nintendo subsidiary. In 2020, they were rebranded as 1UP Studio, given a logo consistent with the Nintendo style, and moved into Kanda Square alongside Game Freak, HAL Laboratories, and the rest of Nintendo. Time was they were actually developing their own titles, such as the Game Boy Advance's Magical Vacation, but these days they are firmly ensconced in supporting the core Nintendo teams, especially on the 3D Mario series, Ring Fit Adventure, and Animal Crossing. They have a wide brief from character design, 3D animation, terrain work, as well as planning courses. Of course, Nintendo has many other subsidiaries besides, but these tend to be either regional branches like Nintendo of America, full on game developers like Retro Studios and Nintendo Cube, or subsidiaries with specific purposes, which I've covered in separate videos, such as Nintendo Systems and Nintendo Pictures. There's also iQue, the Chinese localization branch, although with Nintendo's apparent retreat from China in 2026, it's unclear exactly how involved they will be at the present. But perhaps the final two groups which should be mentioned are mainly technological and are actually outside Japan. Alongside Nintendo Software Technology is Nintendo Technology Development Inc. in America, while in France there is Nintendo European Research and Development, better known as NERD, who have worked on technological products as diverse as the 3DS camera and seemingly the game engines for the Super Mario 3D All-Stars Switch emulators in the 2020s. As for Nintendo Technology Development, they have worked in the past on software for the Wii U gamepad and presumably still continue this kind of work, though information about them has been limited in recent years, and while it appears that they work out of the same Seattle building as Nintendo Software Technology, they are credited as a distinct subsidiary in Nintendo's annual reports, with credit given for Nintendo's operating systems. That said, from the financial allocations, the team seems to be incredibly small, several times smaller than Nintendo Software Technology, which in turn is several times smaller than Retro Studios. It seems logical for Nintendo to have technology groups in Europe and America so they can ensure compatibility with those markets and forestall any major problems that might crop up. Curiously, Nintendo's initial investment into Nintendo Technology Development Inc. seems to be just $1, and while its original leading light, Howard Chen, appears to have moved on, at least judging by the range of patents from other firms in recent years that he's put out, it's not entirely clear just how active this corporation is right now. Nevertheless, with Nintendo's groups merging in years to come, the question remains as to whether it will continue to be beneficial to have so many little subgroups. In the past, the separation made sense, especially for 1UP, who had quite a distinct history as Brownie Brown, while Mario Club have carved out their own specialism on debugging, which must remain one of the most important, yet thankless, tasks there is in gaming. Presumably, also having these smaller subsidiaries does help, at least in terms of keeping a focused team together and avoiding the huge scale issues that come with becoming a massive employer. But Nintendo is now growing faster than ever, and with 1UP, Mario Club, and SRD so integrated into Nintendo's core team these days anyway, perhaps their approach may change in the years to come. If you would like to see more on the developer side of things though, do check out this video which explores Nintendo EPD. Otherwise, do check out the Patreon, like, comment, share and subscribe, and I shall just say thank you for watching and see you next time for another Nintendo Forecast. Thank you very much.